When Red Bull's heavily upgraded F1 car made its on-track debut at the Miami Grand Prix, one extreme development looked as though it must have been copied from another team, but that wasn't the case. Ferrari turned heads in pre-season testing back in February with a rear wing that did not simply open on the straights, but fully rotated the top part to create a bigger opening and theoretically greater drag reduction. It was rightly lauded as innovative, novel and creative, but as it turns out, it was not unique. As Ferrari's design broke cover more than 2 months ago, spawning names such as the Macarena or flip-flop wing, and nothing like it was seen since, the emergence of a Red Bull equivalent seemed like a clear case of one team taking inspiration from another. The order in which they appeared meant nothing more than simple chronology though. What transpired in Miami, 2 different teams racing rear wings that turn upside down for the first time in the same Grand Prix, was a remarkable coincidence. Ferrari spent a long time trying to get its design ready to race in the public eye. The wing appeared in pre-season testing and again in China a month later, where it was withdrawn from the car. Its issue was getting the upper part of the wing to complete its revolution in the 0.4 seconds stipulated in F1's regulations. It seemed to cause at least one notable issue for Lewis Hamilton in practice when reattaching too slowly under braking. The Japanese Grand Prix came and went without the wing being raced, before Ferrari tested a revised version at Monza during F1's April break. This provided ample time for Ferrari to complete its troubleshooting, hence the wing was finally ready to be raced in Miami. Amazingly, Red Bull had been going through the same process at the same time, just in the background. There were hints of Red Bull seemingly trying its version of Ferrari's wing when it conducted a filming day at Silverstone in April with the RB22, where its major Miami upgrade package was run on track for the first time. But when it was finally shown off to the world in Miami, it turned out to be a very different interpretation to Ferrari's. Whereas Ferrari's wing rotates front to back, flipping around quite dramatically, Red Bull's rotates up and over from the rear, a simpler motion but resulting in a visibly greater opening. Red Bull's also utilises a centre-mounted actuator on the main plane itself, rather than the corners like Ferrari, which the trailing edge of the wing sits on top of when inverted. Red Bull team principal Laurent Mekies was keen to give his designers credit, saying they came up with the concept far before the car hit the track, and Red Bull had seen its rival's concept. There are no points for being first to show off a design to the world, at least if that design doesn't make it onto the car early enough to deliver an actual performance advantage in the races. And rather than be annoyed that Ferrari beat it to the punch, internally Red Bull was reassured that someone else had pursued a similar design. That underlined the merit in the idea beyond its own observations from wind tunnel testing. We understand that Red Bull first started working on its version of the wing in November last year, when conversations with the FIA made it clear the new regulations around a different kind of movable rear wing for the 2026 cars invited such an interpretation. The old drag reduction system rules, as they existed through to 2025, meant the only aerodynamic motion available was a gap cracking open between the main plane and the flap, like a letterbox. Teams had a permitted slot gap range of between 10mm and 85mm, the latter setting a clearly defined maximum. The 2026 rules are different. One key Red Bull figure said that the critical part of what makes the design possible is the rules stipulate that when viewed from below, the axis of rotation must be fully obscured by the flap. The wing must also switch between the two fixed positions in no more than 0.4 seconds and have a minimum distance between the two rear wing profiles of 8 to 12mm. In other words, the rules have changed from defining how the rear wing must open to defining the open and closed positions. How they get there and what size gap they create is free for greater interpretation, hence Red Bull's far greater opening. Today's video is brought to you by the Armour All Podium Series, a premium line of car cleaning, detailing and air freshening products made in collaboration between Armour All and Oracle Red Bull Racing. Engineered with precision and expertise featuring SiO2-based hybrid ceramic technology, the Armour All Podium Series products are formulated to meet the elite performance standards of Oracle Red Bull Racing, so you can achieve podium-worthy results on your vehicle at home. Fans of the race have had a chance to try the Armour All Podium Series products on their cars, and they said the results are incredible. From the tyre shine to the interior detailer and spray wax, this line has everything you need to clean and detail your vehicle like the Oracle Red Bull Racing team. The Armour All Podium Series is available now online and in store. Find out where to buy and more information at armourallpodiumseries.com. The Armour All Podium Series, the world's most elite car care. Red Bull worked on this for months and had planned to introduce the system well before Miami. It targeted pre-season testing and as recently as round 3 at Suzuka, but could not get it to work reliably. The only difference to Ferrari is that nobody saw that. Plus, Red Bull had other car problems emerge very early, even back at the January shakedown at Barcelona, so it prioritised addressing those ahead of getting this rear wing to work. Even when it was ready, there was still a degree of risk in what Red Bull opted to do once it was confident in the design. In Miami, it had a comprehensive upgrade package for the RB22, including updates to the floor, side pods and top bodywork. Bringing that many changes simultaneously and introducing an entirely new novel rear wing mechanism on top was an acknowledged risk. But Red Bull was evidently satisfied by its work behind the scenes, and what the Silverstone filming day validated, and Miami's track layout meant that the benefits would be immediately felt, with 2 extremely long backstretches where better drag reduction would be useful. The package worked. Max Verstappen was immediately competitive, and Red Bull found itself right back in the thick of the pole and podium fights, and the wing was part of that. It might even have proven immediately more beneficial than Ferrari's, which, while potentially better when in cornering mode because the wing flaps are clear from any disruption from the actuator, does not shed as much drag. Though engine performance has a clear impact on straight line speed, it could be telling that Hamilton seemed perturbed by a perceived deficit to other cars on the straights. Given Ferrari's rear wing should confer a bigger drag reduction than the 9 teams with conventional designs, that is slightly surprising. Looking ahead to F1's next race, the Canadian Grand Prix in late May, Hamilton expressed his concern about heading to another track with long straights, as Ferrari is losing 3 to 4 tenths just on straight line speed. He said the team would need to see if we can cut some drag before then. So after the understandable initial assumption that Red Bull copied Ferrari, is it now conceivable the opposite happens now the 2 different versions of rotating wings have been raced, and their relative effectiveness has been provisionally measured?